Hello, and welcome. So, first of all, this video is going to be mostly informative, okay? So, I've gotten a lot of questions on how to set up Beyond Chaos, where to get the newest version, stuff like that, so I'm going to cover that. And I'm also going to go over the flags. Once again, I've done this a couple of times before, but for the people who are just joining us on this channel that maybe just now getting into Beyond Chaos and wanting to know some more specifics about it, I will be covering just about everything I can in this video, and I'll probably end up pinning it if I can figure out how to do that. Regardless, we're going to talk about the flags and exactly how to set up the game, and then the second half of this video is going to be my preferred rulebook. Now, you don't have to play the way that I do, but I am going to kind of outline all of the restrictions and stuff I put on myself for a regular run of Beyond Chaos, so that we have a video representation for anybody who has any questions. We can all direct them to this video. So regardless of that, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, Fury Cat. My cat is joining us, and yeah, let's just talk about Beyond Chaos and how to set it up. Now, first of all, there is a Discord for Final Fantasy VI Beyond Chaos. It's called the Final Fantasy VI Beyond Chaos Barracks. I always put a link to that in the description of all of my Beyond Chaos videos. I will put it in this video as well. You can go there, join the Discord, and the newest version of Beyond Chaos, the GitHub for it, is always linked on the announcement pages, or the announcement page of Beyond Chaos Barracks. So if you're ever looking for a version for it, you will get it from GitHub, and you will get the latest version. Once you have it downloaded, however, it comes with an auto-updater, so whenever a new version of Beyond Chaos comes out, all you have to do is load up Beyond Chaos, and it will automatically download all of the newest additions to the newest edition. If that makes sense, right? So, first of all, I gotta shout out the members of the community for Beyond Chaos, because they are amazing with all of these updates and bug fixes and stuff. So, yeah, definitely support them if you can, and join the Discord, please, because there's some really cool people there. We all like to talk about our seeds. The highlights channel is just a riot. So, regardless of that, let's go ahead and get into exactly how to set up Beyond Chaos. So this is your UI, okay? This is what you're gonna see whenever you're rolling a new seed for Beyond Chaos, okay? So up here, obviously, is your ROM file. You will need an FF6 ROM file. I cannot tell you where to get that, sorry. Here is the output directory, which you will put the file, the area that you want the randomized seed to be sent to, right? Probably the best emulator for this is SNES 9X. You can find that very, very easily online somewhere. But yeah, it's the best Super Nintendo emulator I've ever found. I've been using it since I was like, I don't even remember how old I was when I first got it, but it works. It's really, really good. Okay, so moving on. Down here, this is a seed number. It's totally optional. You can just type in a random string of numbers or that. It's just kind of an extra randomizer thing if you want to like put something on there for it. So, number to generate, obviously this is how many randomized ROMs you want to generate. I usually do 1. As far as the game modes, right, normal is what I usually play on, which is just the vanilla game, but randomized as hell. Then there's Kefka at Narsh, which is for race seeds. I haven't done one yet. I'd like to try one. There's some exploits and stuff I need to learn first before I can do that. But yeah, Kefka at Narsh is a race seed that basically goes from the beginning of the game to the defeat of Kefka in the Narsh fields, and that's it. Ancient Cave, if you've seen Ancient Cave, you know, Earthbound or Seeker of Mana randomizer, it's basically just like a randomized entrance thing that takes you to a bunch of different parts of the game, and you kind of build a team and build resources from that. I haven't done it. I'm not a huge fan of Ancient Cave, but yeah, there you go. There's another one. Speed Cave, I don't know exactly the specifics of this one, but I assume it's a lot like Ancient Cave. Randomized Cave, again, same as Ancient Cave, I'm sure, with some minor tweaks here and there. And then the Dragon Hunt, which basically is a race to see who can beat all of the dragons first. But we just do normal every time. Now there is a select flag set here. If you're a new player, obviously there's one for new, intermediate, advanced, chaotic, Kefka at Narsh races, easy to insane. And then I've got my actual flag set that I saved, preset that I saved, that's my preferred flags, but we won't go ahead and do that. We'll just keep it at select flag set for now, and just go over the flags. So the first little tab here you'll see is just flags. These are basic flags that you will turn on and off for each run. So let's just start at the top. So B is make the game more balanced by removing known exploits. What this means is it will make it so that the Vanish and Doom trick and Vanish and X Zone and stuff are not available to do. Basically disables it, which I always check because that makes the game very boring. If you've played the vanilla game enough times and you've just Vanished and Doomed everything, you know how easy it is. So that removes the ability to do that. Randomize palettes and names of various things is exactly what it sounds like. That'll change. That's your changing of the names of attacks from your enemies and colors for a lot of stuff. Randomizing the final dungeon, we do this every time. So what this does is it changes where the exits and entrances of Kefka's Tower take you. It uses random elements from the game to send you to like a South Figaro map or something in the middle of Kefka's Tower, and then you got to run around and find the right entrance into the right building to continue, things like that. I don't recommend new players doing that unless you're very familiar with Kefka's Tower and how it works, but if you want to try it, you can. And there's another reason why you randomize the final dungeon. The community has put together a gigantic list of items that are fake. Basically, they were made by the community, and they replace either the Dirk or the rename card in the vanilla file. So the only way to get that item is to randomize the final dungeon and to do a little bit of an exploit to get up a reverse conveyor belt. The item you get can be absolutely useless or super insane. The last one we got was a turtle that just teaches safe, gives you autosave, and casts Golem in battle. Little stuff like that. But then you can get something like the Red Duster that teaches you quick, and everyone can equip it. So yeah, a lot of different items you can get. Some really good, some really bad. So randomizing the final dungeon is required for that. Randomize Esper spells and level up bonuses. I do this every time. So basically this takes all the Espers that you get and gives them random spells they teach you, and gives you a random level up bonus, like, how some of them usually have like magic power +2 or something. It could end up being HP +100 or something. It's all random, which I always check. Randomize enemy formations. This is exactly what it sounds like. You can run into, one or two enemies, and they will have a back attack flag attached to them or something like that, where even a back guard won't protect from it. So things like that, that's what that affects. Affects? Fury Cat? Am I having an aneurysm? So randomized dances, this matters if you don't use a later flag called replace everything, where it replaces like dance and tools and stuff. If you don't do that, then dance has a chance of showing up in the seed, which was the case for the last seed we did, and it will randomize all the dance's names and all of the terrains that they're best used on, and all of the spells that the dances do. So that's worth it if you plan to use dance. This is a newer flag they added. Your party in Final Kefka fight will be random. That was always a thing in Beyond Chaos, and I guess now they've made it so you can turn it on and off. I just turn it on because it's pretty hype to have the random characters in the final battle and not get to like set up exactly how you want to go. So I always check that. Randomize the stats of equipable items. Really fun. And with a later flag, you can actually tell which ones are significantly different from vanilla without having to like remember, right? So it does exactly what it says. It randomizes the stats of the items that you can equip, and it's worth doing. Randomize the Phantom Forest. I do that now. I didn't used to do it because I was always worried that the shadow character would run away, but I think it's more hype to try and get through without him running, So yeah, randomizing the Phantom Forest just changes the directions you have to go to get to the Ghost Train. Randomize the clock in Zozo. Okay, so if you know the original, you will just go and get the item, and it'll be a chainsaw tier item in that chest. But if you randomize the clock, all of the Zozo people will actually give you hints. Obviously, they all lie, so you gotta process of elimination it, but they'll all give you hints as to what the clock is actually set to when you randomize it. So it's kind of fun, and if you actually randomize it, it gives you a higher tier item out of that chest instead of a chainsaw tier. So that's worth doing. I do it every time. Randomized blitz inputs, same thing. As dances, this will simply randomize what the directions and inputs you have to put in for the blitzes are. Randomized enemy stats, always fun, does exactly what it says. Randomized window background colors, I click this just in case it'll give me a cool background at the beginning, but you can always change it, obviously, once you get into the game. But this just kind of randomizes it right away, just in case you want to keep it. Shuffle characters and battle commands. Shuffling all of the characters' commands amongst each other, right? Like lore and tools and all that stuff. Randomize the palettes of spells and weapon animations. Always fun. That's how we get a clean sweep that looks like pee. And weapon animations as well. Changes the colors of them and stuff. Randomize what equipment each character can wear and character stats. That is always fun because the more rando of your characters, the better. You don't want to just bank on your Gaw character is always going to have the same equipment scheme where they can't equip weapons. It's more fun to see who ends up with that, right? Randomize character locations in the World of Ruin. Basically, when you get to the World of Ruin, the only characters who are not randomized are your Cell's character, because you start with her, your Edgar character, because you have to get him, and your Setzer character. Those three are never randomized in the World of Ruin, but everyone else, like the Collapsing House, Zone Eater characters, all that stuff, they're all randomized from the characters that you had in the World of Balance and where they will be, right? So you can't just bank on your Strago character being at the Fanatics Tower, right? He can be anywhere. And I always do that because it's very fun, especially wondering who you're going to get at the Collapsing House instead of just knowing it's going to be your saving character, right? Swap character graphics around. Self-explanatory. Randomized treasure, including chests, coliseum, shops, and enemy drops. This, yes, you want to do this, because this is what makes it fun. And when you find random treasures, they are, unless you use a different flag, which we'll go over in a little bit here, all of the treasure chests have items in them that are particular to that tier of items. So the one chest on Mount Colts that, if I remember correctly, in the vanilla game has, is it a Guardian? I don't remember what's on the Mount Colts. It's been so long since I played the vanilla game, but the really good chest on Mount Colts will have a really good item still. So yeah, it's all randomized per tier of that item. Umara Risk is really fun. So random character will be your Berserker, right? And a lot of the time you'll end up with a Berserker with a skill that isn't necessarily fight. Sometimes you get fight, which is kind of boring, but last time we had Zelda and she had Blitz Zerking. We've had Agrius with Sword Tech Zerking, stuff like that. Super cool, worth doing. That way you don't always get your Berserker in the World of Ruin. You could end up with it as your Terra character. Alright, we got generate new commands for characters, replacing old commands. So this is what you want to do when you are trying to get, like, your combo skills that are random spells put together, or one spell or something like that. You could roll something like Clean Sweep as a command. You could get Ultima as a command, things like that. So your generate new commands for characters is, in my opinion, what makes Beyond Chaos so fun, is your characters getting different skills and you kind of figuring out who's the best, right? And then shuffle Magicite locations. This is still basically, equivalent to the ones where you would get in the normal spots. They're just different, right? So, like, when you fight Ifrit and Shiva, usually in the Magitech Research Facility, after you win, you might get, Golem and Unicorn or something instead. Always have Sprint Shoes effect. Duh. Just quality of life right there. So that is it for the general flags tab here. Moving on to the sprites. So this is probably everyone's, like, what most everyone is interested in knowing about. So first of all, there's Brave Nude World, which all characters use the Esperterra sprite, which we're not doing, obviously, and I never do. Makeover is the one you want to always check if you want random sprites, right? So some sprites are replaced with new ones, like Cecil or Zero Suit Samus, right? There's a bunch of them. and we'll go over that later. But yeah, you always want to check this if you want random character sprites. Kupo, all characters are Moogles except for Mog. And with Party checked, all characters are Moogles except Mog, Esperterra, and Imps. So if you want to use that, that's up to you. I don't use it. Party is the other one that you want to make sure you check, because that's what randomizes your Kefka, your Trooper, your Bannon, your Leo, your Ghost, your Merchant, Esperterra, and Soldier, right? And this is what really matters. So those sprites are also randomized themselves, allowing Leo to look like Edgar, for example. So if you don't check this, Kefka and Leo and all of them are just going to look how they look in the vanilla game. So I like to do this. Quick Draw I've never used in my life. I think this is an inside joke with the community that I'm just not aware of. All characters look like Imperial soldiers, and none of them have Gauze Rage Skull. So I'm not sure. Okay, so the vanilla flags here. No vanilla says it's the same as Makeover, except sprites from the vanilla game are guaranteed not to appear. So you will not get Setzer, Terra, Cells, any of the vanilla sprites in the game, period. And then you've got French vanilla that says same as Makeover, except sprites from the vanilla game are selected with equal weight to new sprites rather than some being guaranteed to appear. So that just means you have, equal chance of them appearing to the random sprites that we get from the list, right? But if you check neither one of them, you're going to end up pretty much with a guaranteed vanilla character. So I usually use no vanilla because I like to have a bunch of different sprites. Clone Party, same as Makeover, except instead of avoiding choosing different versions, the same character actively tries to do so. So in Makeover, built into the Makeover, if you randomize, let's say, Princess Garnet, right, as a sprite, it will the randomizer will actively try not to pick Dagger, right, because they're very similar characters, or White Mage Garnet. But if you click this, it won't care. It'll actually go out of its way to try and give you characters that are similar to the other characters, right? So I don't use it. I like a bunch of different characters. So sprite categories. So these are all, little tags that are on the ends of all of the sprite files, right, in the text file. So what you can do is you go through and you say no potato, right? So potato is just the weird sprites and the inanimate objects and stuff. If you don't want those, you just hit no, right? Or if you want very few of them, you hit hate. If you want a lot of them, you hit and if you want only those kinds of sprites, you click only. So those are just the regular vanilla categories for these, right? So, and then they have the same for kids, girls, anime characters, boy characters, and it shows you how many sprites are in each of those pools, right? And each game, the randomizer pulls 22 unique sprites. So you have to make sure that you have a pool of at least 22 characters and sprites going in, or else the game will not randomize correctly. And then you got generic here, obviously, pets too. This is blank, I don't know why this is here, but regardless. And then down here, this is what we're gonna go over now, tone faves. So I've had a few people ask me this question, and now I'm going to answer it. So if you want to, quote unquote, plandomize your randomizer sprites, you can go and actually add a tag to certain sprite files to make your own custom pool of sprites, which is what we did for the last one actually, when we did the main characters thing. So I made a pool of 49 sprites for the last randomizer that we did, right? And I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. Let's go ahead and show you that. So when you go into your Beyond Chaos file location, there will be another file that says custom. You click on the custom file, and then usually at the very bottom of the files in that folder is something called sprite replacements. It's just a text file, right? And this is what it looks like, right? These are all of the sprites in the entire game listed, okay? So what this does is allows you to, as you can see right here, so what you do is you create your own custom tag. And what I do is I just copy this, right? And let's say that, I want to make sure that in this pool, you know, Alma is in there, right? So you will just paste it right on the end of there, and now it is part of the Tone Faves sprite pool, which is really cool. But you have to make sure you save it to do that. So you can technically go through and seed like only the sprites that you really want, and that's how I went through and put in all the main character sprites for the last one. I don't recommend doing it all the time because part of the fun of Beyond Chaos is not knowing what you're going to end up with. But if you want to do it that way, if you don't like certain sprites and you don't want them in the game at all, you can just totally get rid of them. So that's how that works. We're going to move on to the Battle tab. So Battle tab, we have Electric Boogaloo. What this does is it increases the list of spells that items can break and proc for. Items can break for potentially any spell, and weapons can potentially proc any spell, excluding sword text, blitzes, slots, and a couple of other skills. So that just makes it way more likely for you to be able to use an item in battle and break it and have it do something fun. I have actually started not using this so much because I've had too many flags where I found a really cheap item that broke for like Riot Blade or a Desperation Attack or something, and we just spammed the hell out of that in the final battle, and it made it kind of anticlimactic not getting to use my character's skills and things, instead just throwing stupid damage, right? So I've started unclicking that. You can use it if you like, though. Collateral damage. All pieces of equipment break for spells. Characters only have the fight and item commands, and enemies will use items drastically more often than usual. I've never used this flag. I've thought about it a couple of times, but every time I think about it when I'm rolling a new seed, I really don't feel like doing it, right? So let's move on to Mass Effect. Mass Effect is something that I use every now and then. It depends on how often I want to go in and check my items while I'm going through. So what Mass Effect does is it increases the number of rogue effects on equipment by a large amount. So what that means is you could end up with, let's say, Thunderblade or something, right? That like teaches you Shell and has like the auto sleep status on it, right? So when you equip it, your character's always asleep and you're learning Shell at like ×2 speed or something. That kind of stuff. And I like it sometimes, I don't like it other times. The only thing that really bothers me about it is having to check every single item I find that has a question mark on the end of it. You know, sometimes you use it, sometimes you don't. It's really up to you. Random bosses. I pretty much click this every time now. It causes the boss skills to be randomized similarly to regular enemy skills. Boss skills can change to similarly powerful skills. So, say for instance you have Tunnel Armor that usually casts like Bolt on you, right? It can actually cast Ice instead. It'll replace that. Similarly to Ultros. Ultros at Esper Mountain can have, I believe it's his tentacle attack or something. I forget what level it is, but it'll be replaced with like Baba Breath or something and lock you out of the game, which we're going to talk about that too during the rulebook section. But yeah, it's worth doing because it makes, it makes it really scary when you're going in to fight a boss, not knowing what skills they're going to use. And if you have a significant amount of vanilla knowledge, it's not going to help you there, pretty much. So I usually turn that one on. Dancing Madwin is always on, so what this does is it restricts Esper usage such that most Espers can only be equipped by one character. Also usually changes what spell the Paladin Shield teaches. So that means Paladin Shield will not always teach Ultima, and every character has a chance to not equip certain Espers, which really makes you have to think about your party composition based on what spells they can learn, and whether or not they have a magic command. So that's a really cool one. I always use it. So Dark World, haven't done one of these yet, but it increases the difficulty of the seed, akin to a hard mode, mostly meant to be used in conjunction with the Mad World code. Mad World is down here. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, Dark World just makes the game really, really, really hard. And I haven't done this one yet. So maybe in the future, but not quite yet. Easy Moto, all enemies have 1 HP. Never. Too easy. Okay, so Mad World is creating a true tier list seed with enemies having a higher degree of randomization and shops being very randomized as well. So this is what we did for the munching, right? And how we were able to buy really, really good equipment for very cheap in shops. So if you want to do like a run through where you're just totally busted and broken, just click Mad World. But if you want to actually do Dark World the way it's supposed to be done, you click both of these and run them both. Plays itself is dumb. It basically treats the entire like game like the Coliseum fight, where you just let your characters do what they're going to do. I like to play the games, I don't like to watch them being played automatically. Rush for Power, this reverts the Vargas fight to only require that Vargas take any damage to begin his second phase. So if you hit him once, it starts his second phase. I don't like to use this. I just want it to be a Vargas fight. Because if we can do it, it actually removes the ability for you to like do enough damage just to kill him outright and never go to the second part of the fight, you know? No RNG. Calls to the RNG are not made. Attacks are always critical hits. Everything targets the lead character when applicable, and all attacks hit if they're able to accept instant death. Many more additional effects occur. This is new. I haven't seen this before. I believe it was actually in the experimental tab for the last version, so I guess they made it now. I might try that at some point just for experimentation, but I'm not doing it here. So these here are all of your boosts for like EXP, GP, MP. I don't use any of these, but you can like put a multiplier in for how much extra of what you want to get at the end of like every battle. Dance Lessons removes the 50% chance that dances will fail when used on a different terrain. That's dumb. I kind of like the idea of risking it to see if we stumble. No breaks. Causes no items to break for spell effects, which is actually one that I might try in this next run, just to not be able to fall back on something in case it does, you know, break for something. Unbreakable. Causes all items to be indestructible when broken for a spell. That's kind of busted too. So if you find like one thing doing a desperation attack, you can just spam it for the rest of the game, which is pretty dumb. Sword Tech Speed. I love this. This is a T edition thing. Alters the speed at which the Sword Tech bar moves. So if you have Sword Tech rolled into your skills, right, if you're not doing replace everything, you can change it to be the fastest, faster, fast, vanilla, or random speed. I would always pick fastest. Curse Power. This, I have decided, because I've seen this flag, that I always am going to set it at 50. So, Curse Power, set the number of battles required to uncurse a Curse Shield. So, yeah, vanilla is 256 battles, we know that. 0 is random. But, yeah, I just set it to 50 battles for reasons that I will explain in my rulebook section. Aesthetic Accessibility. So, Alas Draco, just do it for fun. It randomizes the entire opera, and it's hilarious. This will pull from its own set of sprites, so if you seed the game to only give your playable sprites, like maybe all girls or something, like our Ladies Night Out seeds, Alas Draco will pull from a different set of sprites, so it won't take up any of the ones that you would get. So that's just something to keep in mind. The bingo thing generates a bingo card. I've never done that. If that's your thing, that's your thing. Check it out. Caps lock off. I don't really care. I don't care about the caps. So. Johnny D. Mad is randomizing music with regard to what would make sense in a given location, so you'll get similar music to vanilla music from other games for certain moods that are going on, right? I do Johnny A. Chaotic because it's hilarious. Randomizes music with no regard to what would make sense in a given location, so when Sid dies, you can get Dwarf Village music from Secret of Mana, and it's absolutely a riot. Not a waiter. This basically, up to Kefka Nourish It, removes a lot of the optional cutscenes, or a lot of the cutscenes, mandatory cutscenes. Optional cutscenes aren't removed. That's for if you just want to get through the beginning of the game really fast. I don't care. I like my cutscenes. Remove flashing. I'm so glad they added this, and it worked last game. Removes most white flashing effects from the game, such as Bum Rush. So if you get a character with Bum Rush, you're not going to see the strobing thing. And that's really, really nice. Same with Schiller, stuff like that. It removes it, and I like it, and I keep it there. And then Remonstrate. This is what you check to make sure that all of your enemy sprites are randomized, right? All of the graphics for them, because that is super fun to see. It's really nice they added this to the randomizer, because before you had to use an external program, you had to do a bunch of different weird stuff with it. Now they've just added it to the randomizer, which makes it much easier. Okay, Field Tab. Fight Club does not allow you to see the Coliseum rewards for battling, or before betting, but you can often run from Coliseum battles to keep your item. This is dumb. I mean, if it's giving you the option to run, then there's no reason to do it. Also, putting an item in, just not knowing what you're fighting for, just adds time. It doesn't really add a challenge, if you ask me, so I don't ever use this. BSIAB is bullshit in a box. Basically, this makes it so really tough stuff can appear in monster in a boxes anywhere in the game. So you can run into pugs in South Figaro, you know. I use it because I think it's fun. And you can go back in the World of Ruin to old chests that just wrecked you and fight them again. Mime time, Go-Go will be hidden somewhere in the World of Ruin disguised as another character. Bring that character to recruit him. This is really, really fun because you can go and you have to find Go-Go instead of him just being in a regular character spot. And when you find him, he might not be disguised as a character that you even have yet. So now you gotta go get that character and then bring him to get Go. And he can be in a lot of different spots, including the top of the skyscraper in Zozo, which I haven't seen happen yet, but that does give Zozo a little bit more, you know, airtime in the World of Ruin outside of the mountains. So that's pretty cool. I always use that. Dearest Malulu is no random encounters occur. Use it with an EXP code. Where a Moogle Charm or a piece of equipment with a Moogle Charm effect will cause a battle to occur every step when encounters can occur. I don't like this. I don't like not getting in encounters. I think it's fun to just see what kind of enemies are there. And what's the point of randomizing enemy sprites if you're never going to run into enemies? Random boost. Okay, so this can give you really busted stuff in treasure chests really, really early if you pick 0 as a random boost number. But this basically, whatever number you put in here, the lower the number, the higher the randomization for what awesome stuff you can get in chests early. So you can actually kind of customize sort of how much of an advantage you want. I used it a couple of times for really seeds where I wanted to be really busted, but I typically don't use it anymore. Warring Triad, I still have not done this. You start in the World of Ruin with all of the World of Balance treasure chests and a guaranteed set of items and more lures. So this is basically for if you want to just jump straight to the World of Ruin, which is up to you, you know. I haven't done it yet. I might do it sometime. Questionable content is what gives you the question marks next to your items, which signifies whether or not they're very different from vanilla or not. So I use it all the time now that it's available because just at a glance being able to tell whether or not something is different from vanilla is really, really nice. And then no monster in a boxes is exactly what it sounds like, which I never use. Characters tab. Replace everything. So all vanilla skills that can be replaced are replaced. I use this most of the time. I did not in the last seed, but I do most of the time because this is what makes it fun. It will replace everything that is a vanilla command outside of like lure, jump, morph. Those things have to be in the pool for whatever reason. It has to do with coding. But sword tech, tools, blitz, stuff like that will be replaced with something brand spanking new. That's worth doing because it's really, really fun, and I do it pretty much every time. All combos, if you want to do this, I've never done it. It might be pretty cool sometime, but it turns all of the things that are getting replaced into combo skills. So like, you'll always have 2 spells attached to each other as one command, which is kind of neat, but I'm not going to do it this time either. No combos, as there will be no dual skills, so you'll only ever get one thing, which I don't like that. I like the randomization of, did I get a double skill? Did I get no double skill? Did I get any even good skills? Stuff like that, so I like that. Endless 9 is all random skills are automatically changed to 9 times skills, and all W skills become 8 times skills. That means whatever spell you get, whatever skill you get that would have been an R skill, like R Fire, which is a random fire spell every time you do it, it'll do it 9 times. And if you get a W skill, like W Ice, so like the ice spell twice, it would do it 8 times. I don't like that. I don't like to sit around, especially if you end up rolling like a skill that's not even good, and it sits there and does it 9 times. It's just boring. Supernatural makes it so that any character with a magic command will have natural magic. If you want to do this to make your life easier, I would not blame you, but I don't ever check this, because I like to see who ends up learning magic, instead of like, if I got a character and saw they had a magic command, that I know they're going to learn natural magic. It's just kind of too not rando, you know? Can't touch this, all characters have 255 defense and 255 magic defense, as well as 128 evasion and magic evasion. If you just want to roll through a game real quick and have fun and not have to worry about anything, that's your flag. Natural stats, no espers will grant stat bonuses upon leveling up. I like the stat bonuses. Metronome. This was one that we wanted to do a long time ago, but the seed, the flag was actually broken and didn't work. But all characters have Fight, Archaeos, Magic, and Item as their skill set, except for the Mime, who has Mimic instead of Fight, and the Berserker, who only has Archaeos. So Archaeos is just a list, is a skill that pulls one spell when you press it from the entire list of all frickin' skills in the entire game. So every fight would be totally different, because every character would have Archaeos, and you'd just be throwing that for the most part, which could be really cool and a fun run sometimes. Natural magic is no espers or equipment will teach spells. The only way for characters to learn spells is through leveling up if they have their own innate magic list, which is dumb too. I like espers. Suplex Rex is a meme. It's just all characters use the Sabin Sprite, as well as having a name similar to Sabin. All characters have the Blitz and Suplex command, and every enemy can be hit by Suplex. So if you just want to body slam a bunch of people, if you just want to go total Brock Lesnar Suplex City on everything, use this flag. And Desperation is that guarantees one character will have R limit, and greatly increases the chance of having Desperation attacks as commands. I'm really glad they explained this flag, because that's what I assumed it did after the one seed where I used it, because it was very ambiguous as to what it did before they added this explanation here. So if you want somebody to end up with R limit, which is a list of random desperation attacks, or just having a higher chance of getting desperation attacks as commands, you can click that, but I don't. Right, experimental we're not messing with, and neither are we doing game breaking. So those are all of the flags, and you kind of see what my preferred flag set is. What you would do afterwards, by the way, after getting all those flags in, is if you wanted to save it, you could save it, and it'll prompt you and ask you what to name it, and then it'll be like this one, right? But after all that, you will just click generate, and it will go ahead and run the script to fix everything. It'll take a little bit of time, just simply because of Remonstrate now, because it has to replace all the sprites and everything. But once it's done, it'll give you an output file. It'll tell you what the last few numbers are at the end of it, so you know which one you just randomized, and then you just bring up your SNES 9X emulator, hit start ROM, and there you go. There's your randomized BC seed. Now that all that is done with, we can get into the meat of what this video is all about, which is my preferred rulebook for when I go through Beyond Chaos. Now, once again, you do not have to play the way that I do. I have just played a lot of seeds now, and realized that some things are a little too busted, and they should be, outlawed in certain spots. But if it's your first time playing, I don't recommend playing like me. But either way, let's get into what those rules are, shall we? Okay, so the number one rule of Beyond Chaos is obviously a meme, thanks to this channel, but don't trust dinosaurs. Ever. Ever, ever. That's always the number one rule. They will cast Fallen One on you, they will cast Ultima on you, they will Quasar, they will Grand Train, they will do everything. So if you run into a dinosaur, even if they seem nice, don't trust them. They're evil. Okay, so on to the bans. Okay, so I have a specific list of items that are banned in the world of balance, because they're just too busted to have early. Starting with weapons, okay, the Illumina, just too good. If you run into it in the world of balance and you start using it, it just wrecks everything, man. There's no reason. It turns one of your characters that might have a unique and fun command into someone who just swings a big dumb sword, which, boring, right? And it makes it too easy. So the Illumina is totally banned in the world of balance. The fixed dice, for the same reason, because no matter what level you are, throwing the fixed dice and getting 3 6s is gonna do quad 9s, or just a lot of damage. Maybe not quad 9s, but a lot of damage. So yeah, the fixed dice are out as well. Right, and relics that we don't want to use, the Economizer and the gold hairpin. and anything that we might randomize that has Economizer or Gold Hairpin effects. Being able to cast your spells for 1 MP or half MP in the World of Balance is kind of gross. So you definitely don't want to use those if you're trying to get through the run with like your characters just base what they can do, right? For the World of Balance. Like just getting to throw 1 MP, even like fire 3s or something is just too good. On to the big one, the Paladin Shield. Obviously, I don't even have to tell you why it's banned in the World of Balance. It just is. It's too good. It absorbs all elements. It blocks almost all physical attacks. It's just, the stat increases are just over the top. It's the best item in the game, and you shouldn't be able to use it in the World of Balance, so you can. Alright, now spells. Ultima. If we find anything teaching us Ultima, we cannot use it until the World of Ruin. Again, too busted, too good of AoE, turns your character into a one-trick pony. Just no reason to use it whatsoever, unless there is a caveat, if it rolls as a command. So if a character rolls Ultima as a command, the game randomized it for you, and it is part of your character now, it's okay to use it in the World of Balance in that case. Same goes for Quasar and Grand Train. We always get lore, no matter what. This is a new rule, and if we can get Quasar and Grand Train early and spam it, we don't want to do that either. So that's not available until the World of Ruin. Like, you can get a character that has like our lore or something and they can throw Grand Train. That's fine because it's random. You will learn it in your lore list once that character does it, and just being able to call upon it whenever you want, I think is a little bit too busted. Alright, so some additional rules about the Paladin Shield that I am attempting on the next run that I do, because having gone back and seen a couple of seeds where I got it from the Moogles at the very beginning of the World of Ruin, I've changed my opinion on it a little bit. So the Paladin Shield is going to be banned also in the World of Ruin until after we find all of our characters. I noticed that you kind of make a mockery of every single boss. That's why it ended up being like the Simon show against the Tentacles. It ended up being like the Chrono and Zelda show against Tritok and the Ice Dragon and stuff. You pretty much are guaranteed to beat those enemies within reason if you have a Paladin Shield equipped, which is kind of lame. There is another caveat, however, and this is the reason why I said we set the Cursed Shield to be uncursed at 50 battles. If we uncurse a Paladin, or if we uncurse a Cursed Shield into the Paladin Shield through 50 battles before we find all of our characters, we can use the Paladin Shield. But if we just get a Paladin Shield straight up, no, because a lot of the times you won't find a Cursed Shield. More often than finding a Cursed Shield, you get a Paladin Shield, you know? So yeah, no using that until all the characters in the World of Ruin are found and on your team. That obviously excludes the character in the Colosseum if you don't ever find a striker. So if you never find a striker, and you check everywhere for one, and you can't get the character in the Colosseum, then Paladin Shields are on the table again. It's fine, as long as you have all of the other characters, right? And as far as Game Genie codes, I use 2, but only in very specific situations, okay? Right before I go into Kefka's Tower, when I want to level up all of my characters to be viable for the final battle, I use a 12,000 EXP after every battle code, just there. Nowhere else, period. You're not allowed to use it until you're getting ready to go into Kefka's Tower, just to expedite the process of leveling. Otherwise, I would just be sitting there forever and grinding, which is boring. And an all hits are lethal code. This comes into play if we run into something like we did the 1 seed with Ultros on Mount Zozo, or I'm sorry, on Esper Mountain. He got his attack replaced with Baba Breath, which in that situation soft locks the game after you get out of the battle, because you're missing characters that are required for the cutscene. I basically put in all hits are lethal codes so that we can hit him once, and then he goes into the whole sketch scenario, and then you hit him again and you just win, right? So you never give him a chance to throw Baba Breath and soft lock you. Otherwise you're screwed. You can never beat him fast enough before he uses it. That's what the all hits are lethal code is for. As far as challenge runs, okay, so I've done at least one of these, right, with the Outlaw Clyde and the Green Pants Gang seed. There was a challenge run that said I lose an equipped item whenever my party wipes, right? Random equipped item. There's another one I'm thinking about doing soon, which is 1 relic equipped at a time per character. So that's interesting, and I think that might be fun too. And I might come up with other challenge runs in the future, I'm not sure. But the reason that I bring it up is because there are 2 exceptions to these challenge runs, where all the challenge rules are thrown out the window. And that is the Fanatics Tower and fighting Final Kefka. Going through Kefka's Tower, it's still active, but fighting Final Kefka, let's say I've played the whole game where I can only equip 1 relic per character. Having gone through like that, right before Final Kefka, I can equip as many relics as I want. Also, if I wipe against Kefka, I don't have to throw random items away, you know? And the Fanatics Tower is because it's pretty much required for you to use certain things, like wall rings and shit like that. So, there is a challenge that I thought about trying, which I might in the future because I'm a fucking crazy person, but Fanatics Tower, no wall rings. No reflect effects, period. Which I might do eventually, but not right now because I value my sanity. And finally, last but not least, the ultimate rule that I know a lot of you are going to be really, really excited about, and it has to be prefaced with an apology for how often I use it, which is why I am implementing this rule. No more turbo button. I have unbinded my turbo button from my controller. You will not see any fast forwarding anymore. You will just see me playing the game, and it gets confusing enough, the fact that it's highlights and it skips around a lot. So I don't want people to get bogged down with the fact that it's, you know, number 1 bouncing around as highlights, number 2 fast forwarded, you know. So outside of very specific moments, like if I'm grinding for money or something, like going to Daryl's Tomb and fighting stuff for money, I'll probably turbo. Like I'll reach up and I'll use the button that's on my keyboard. But as far as battles, random encounters, bosses, scenes, all that stuff, no more turbo, boys. So I hope you're excited about that, because I actually am too. It's actually going to feel a little bit more relaxing not turboing. That might be the most exciting rule that I've added to this rulebook. So yeah, that is pretty much it as far as my rulebook. And it's all about making the experience more fun. You don't ever want your characters to just like reduce to Illumina swings and casting ult. That's why I do these rules. That's it. I'm glad I was able to make this video again for everybody, updated, just to show you what I'm working with here. Again, don't feel pressured to play like I do. The best part about Beyond Chaos is getting to play how you want to play. But I hope everybody got something out of this video, and I will see you guys when I start the next seed, which I think is going to be pretty soon, because I'm already hankering for one, and I just finished the Mystery of the Crimson Forest. Anyway, thanks you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.